There's something merciless about silence. The way it lingers, slow, deliberate, like a single drop falling from a leaky faucet in the dead of night, when everything you thought was secure begins to come undone. That silence was all I had when I first felt the shift. I couldn't name it, not then, but it was there. In the way my wife, Leah, stopped smiling at me and started smiling at her phone instead. I told myself it was just stress, that I was overthinking, that marriages have quiet spells. But deep down, I felt it, the subtle trembling beneath my feet long before the fault line cracked wide open. Caleb, my younger brother, had always been the golden boy, perfect GPA, homecoming king, the one my parents paraded around like a trophy. I was the one who kept his head down, who worked hard without fanfare, who never made headlines but always delivered. I thought I'd made peace with that. Truly I did, until Caleb moved into our guest room, and everything started tilting sideways. He'd just gone through a breakup. My mother said he needed family, someone to anchor him while he figured things out. I didn't want to say yes. Something in me bristled, but Leah was the one who insisted. He's family, just for a little while. That little while quietly stretched into months. And with each passing day, I watched my home slide further from its center. The changes were small at first, barely noticeable to anyone but me. Leah laughed more freely when Caleb was around, those carefree, belly-deep laughs she hadn't shared in years. She started cooking meals she hadn't bothered with in forever, singing while she stirred. I'd walk in and find them reading the same book, sharing music I'd never heard of, whispering about things I couldn't understand. They had jokes now, looks, a rhythm I was never invited into. It was like watching them slowly drift into a different current while I remained stuck on the shore. I told myself to give her space. Give them space. Trust her. That was my second mistake. One evening, I came home early from a canceled client meeting. The house was dark except for the soft amber light spilling from the living room. I walked quietly, not trying to sneak, just curious. But the moment I turned the corner, I stopped cold. Caleb's hand was gently brushing a strand of hair from Leah's cheek. They were sitting too close. Their voices low, tender, not friends, not family, something else, something sacred that wasn't mine anymore. I didn't confront them then. I backed away like a ghost, barely breathing, heart clenching like a fist. I didn't sleep that night. My mind wouldn't stop replaying the image, the sound of their laughter, the warmth between them that used to be mine. I waited 2 full days before I asked her, and when I did, she didn't deny it. She didn't even try. Her expression collapsed, all pretense gone. "It just happened," she said, like she was describing spilled wine or an unexpected storm. "It feels different." I asked if it was still happening. She looked away. That was answer enough. The next morning, I told Caleb to leave. He didn't argue, just gave that familiar shrug. So casual it made my blood boil. "You weren't really present anyway," he muttered. And that's when it hit me. This wasn't some drunken mistake or moment of weakness. It was calculated, measured, intentional, like everything else Caleb did. My golden brother had taken something from me, not by accident, but with precision. He didn't just steal my wife. He dismantled my life with a quiet kind of violence. I filed for divorce without hesitation. I wanted no more of that house, that name, that life. But just when I thought I could finally breathe again, she told me she was pregnant, and it wasn't mine. I didn't even have to ask. She said it in the same numb, distant tone someone might use to tell you where the nearest gas station is. That should have been the end. But the real betrayal hadn't arrived yet. That came next, in the form of my family. My mother, who once swore I was a rock, looked me in the eye and asked if I could find it in my heart to forgive. My father, never one for poetry, just said, "They're having a baby, for God's sake." Like that somehow turned betrayal into virtue. It was as if they were reading from a script Caleb had handed them. No one asked how I was holding up. No one said they were sorry. My grief wasn't convenient, so it was ignored. I showed up to one last family dinner. I told myself maybe, just maybe, someone would look me in the eye and acknowledge the wreckage, say my name. But when I walked in, They were already laughing, passing around glossy ultrasound photos like souvenirs from paradise. My chair, the one I always sat in, was missing, and no one even noticed. I walked out without saying a word. The next day, I was removed from the family group chat. No explanation. Just gone, like I'd never belonged in the first place. I found out about my niece's birth through Facebook. A smiling photo of my mother holding the baby captioned, "So, blessed to welcome our newest little angel, thanks to love and forgiveness." Forgiveness. That word kept echoing in my head like a curse. They forgave them, but they erased me. Their version of the story painted me as the one who walked away, the one who couldn't handle it. They made it sound noble, romantic, even friends drifted, mutuals chose sides. And slowly, I disappeared from every chapter. Like an ink smudge someone wiped away from the corner of the page, I rebuilt my life in the quiet. A new city, a new job, no expectations, no ghosts. I met someone, a woman who'd survived her own kind of ruin. We never asked each other for explanations. We just knew. In our silence, there was peace. Still, some nights, I dream of that moment, the glow of the living room, the soft whispering, Caleb's hand in her hair, that exact moment when I knew I'd been erased. These days, Caleb and Leia post matching outfits and baby milestones. Their feeds are filled with curated smiles and hashtags. Hashtag blessed life. Hashtag full circle. Sometimes I stare at those photos longer than I should, not out of longing, but to see if there's any trace, any flicker in their eyes that says they remember the price they paid. I don't wait for apologies anymore. I don't need them, because truth has a way of surviving, even in the shadows. And every time they laugh just a little too loud, I hope it echoes. I hope they hear the silence I left behind.